What's up, guys? This is Kirim from the Trinity of Lift, and today I bring all of you my Elemental slash Masked Hero deck profile. The reason why I said Elemental Hero slash Masked Hero is because my personal version of heroes is one that leans a little bit more towards fusion summoning the Elemental Hero fusion monsters, but having also that access to the Masked Heroes, because I like a very aggressive hero playstyle. So I kind of made this deck sort of with that mentality. So as you'll see, it's not more of a traditional deck that you might see elsewhere, because it doesn't heavily rely on Masked Heroes, but we do have access to both Masked and Elemental Hero fusions, and they're all extremely powerful, so that's why I like this version of heroes, and let's get right into the list. So, starting off, we have 3 Elemental Hero Shadow Mist. Fantastic. She's the one who single-handedly basically brought back heroes, especially Masked Heroes. And you have to run her at 3 because we want to get to our Dark Law as fast as possible, and she is the one to get us to our Dark Law as quick as possible. So yeah, 3 Shadow Mist. Next up, we do play 2 Elemental Hero, Neos Alias. He's basically just our 1900 vanilla monster, and he is fairly slow because outside of that, he doesn't have any real effect. But having him for our Masked Hero Koga target, as well as having him for just another level 4, is always nice. And as you'll see, even though he is a slow monster by himself, we do have cards to alleviate his slowness. Next up, we do play 2 Elemental Hero Bubbleman. He's obviously our Masked Hero Acid target, as well as he can also help us accelerate our rank 4 plays whenever we need to make them. So yeah, 2 Bubbleman. Next up, for the last Elemental Hero we do play 2 Elemental Hero Voltic. Like I said before, since I do focus a little bit more on Elemental Hero fusion summoning, I have Voltic here because he combos extremely well with Miracle Fusion, and he really can help you perform these really nutty combos. So having the 2, just as an extra Masked Hero Koga target, as well as a combo piece, is very helpful, and it can help me establish very big boards late game. So that's it for the Elemental Heroes of the deck. Next up, we do play 2 Summoner Monk. Fairly standard in the new hero builds. We do play a lot of spells, so we have the Summoner Monk to really help us speed up our deck and make us help us get into our Dark Laws as soon as possible. Then, next up, we play 2 Goblinberg. This is to help us alleviate our slower hands and help us either get our Shadow Mist combos off or at least get us a rank 4 play going. There are times when you might open slow, so having the 2 Goblinberg here to help at least keep those slow hands to a minimum is very helpful. Finally, for the last monster, we do play the 1 Tin Goldfish. The one reason why I play the Tin Goldfish is because there are enough times when we might have slow hands, so having the Tin Goldfish here to, again, help us get through our slow hands, as well as also be a Masked Hero Acid target, helps us really keep the pressure on our opponent, and so that we're never at a point where we might have no cards in hand, or we might have just burned through our resources too fast. So we have the 1 Tin Goldfish. Moving on to the spells, we start off with 3 Masked Change. Since we do have Masked Heroes now, we do have to run the 3 Masked Change. It's pretty standard now. We want to get into our Masked Hero Dark Law ASAP, so seeing this as soon as possible will help us get into our plays and really help start locking down our opponent. Moving on, we have 2 Masked Change number 2. The reason why I have 2 is because we do have quite a few targets like Summoner Monk, Goblinberg, and Tin Goldfish. The reason why I don't play 3 though is because you do have to discard that 1 card for cost, and there are times when you will be burning through your hand fairly quick. So I don't like having 3 because there's more times than not that if I ever did have the 3rd one, I would more than likely have no cards in hand, or for some reason cannot activate Masked Change 2. So we only do play the 2 because we also have less targets in the main deck. So we do only have that 2. Moving on to the final mask card, we do have the 1 Masked Charge, because the primary reason why we have this is more or less just to recycle that 1 hero monster, because there are little combos that you can do with this card to help you get maybe 2 Masked Heroes out. But the main reason why I like to use it is because it helps us recruit that hero, so that we might have a fusion play going or whatnot. And also getting the mask change back is also just a bonus. So we do play the 1 mask change. Moving on to the fusion spells, we do play the 3 Miracle Fusion, like I said. Since this deck is a little bit more oriented towards Elemental Hero Fusions, we do play the 3 Miracle Fusions. This combos very well with a lot of the cards. Like, if you mask change a hero and then have another monster engraved, you can immediately Miracle Fusion them away to get another Elemental Hero Fusion on the board. And now you have something like 1 masked hero and an Elemental Hero Fusion on board, and now you can really start poking for damage or locking your opponent or whatever you might have to do. So having the 3 Miracle Fusion is very helpful, and it really helps me get my aggressive plays going. Finally, for the last fusion, we do play the 1 Polymerization. This is for odd times when we don't have any way to help get our slow hands going. And this card is like our 4th Goblinberg / Tin Goldfish, because it helps us get our really slow monsters like our Aliases and Voltics out of hand. And it can at least help us go into our bigger monsters so that we're not completely defenseless. So we do have the 1 Polymerization. Next up, we do play the 3 Reinforcements of the Army. This is a warrior deck, so we should be running this at 3. And this also searches out Goblinberg, so it just helps get our consistency going. So yeah, 3 Rhoda. Next up, we do play 2 Emergency Call. The reason why I only like 2 and not 3 is because although we do have a lot of heroes, you really don't need the 3rd, because this deck is already fairly consistent enough with the Rhodas and the Goblinbergs and whatever that we don't really need the E-Calls all that much, because we probably will be getting our heroes in due time. But having the 2 when we might not have them just helps us keep up the consistency, like I said. So yeah, 2 E-Call. Then finally, for the last couple spells, we do play the 3 MST because it's fairly standard now. We have to run 3 MST basically in almost every deck. We do play the 1 Book of Moon because Book is still a fantastic card. We do play the 1 Snack Steel because it's especially potent in this deck because we can actually take our opponent's monsters and then mask change them away or Miracle Fusion them away. So having the Snack Steel to really slow down our opponent, take their monsters, and use it for our own bigger plays really helps clear the board, and then we can help us push for game. And then finally, for the last spell, we do play the 1 Raigeki. Raigeki is especially good in this deck for the big reason that if you have a Dark Law on board and you Raigeki, it's basically removing every single monster on your opponent's board from play, which is ridiculous as it really slows them down. And there's a lot of things that are not able to float if they get banished instead. So that also helps you keep your board advantage, and it stops your opponent from floating everything back and then maybe having a big play of their own when it comes to their turn. So that's it for the spells. Now, finally for the traps, we do play 2 Call of the Haunted. This is, again, to combo off of our Shadow Mist plays and to get us our mask changes as soon as possible so we can get our Dark Law as quick as we can. Next up, we do play 2 Vanity's Emptiness. Because I want our opponent to be as slow as possible while getting our big aggressive plays off, we do play the 2 Vanities to floodgate them. And so this allows us to slow down our opponent even more, as the trend you're all seeing now in the video. The trend is to slow your opponent down as much as possible and then get your big plays off so that they can just keep up with you. So having the Vanities to slow them down and so you can just steamroll over them really helps you. And on top of that, this deck also can sort of function under Vanities. So it's also fairly good too in this deck. And then finally, for the 1 final trap, we do play the 1 Mirror Force. Just like Raigeki, with Mirror Force, now you're basically deprisoning your entire opponent's board with Mirror Force, if you have a Dark Law on board, of course. So having the Mirror Force for that really is stellar. So that's it for the main deck. Moving on to the extra deck, we start off with 3 Masked Hero Dark Law. Again, Dark Law is the big dude in the deck. You want to get to him as soon as possible, and his effect is just ridiculous. You want to have Dark Law on board as much as possible and as frequently as possible. Next up, we do play the 1 Diane as our Earth Masked Hero. We have the 1 Masked Hero Koga as our Light Hero. We have the 1 Masked Hero Acid for our Water Masked Hero. And then finally, we do have the one Contrast Hero Chaos. Although you won't be getting him out much, there are times when you can get him out with either Miracle Fusion or Polymerization. And when you do, he really can swing games into your favor. Also, there will be times when you're going to constantly be mask changing your Dark Laws also to help avoid targets and whatever. So making him isn't really hard, but you won't see him as frequent as you might think. But we still play him just for that moment when we do need him. Moving on to the Elemental Hero fusions, we do start off with the one Absolute Zero. Then we have the one Esquiardo. And then these guys, I would say ignore. Although they're Master Hero Goka and Elemental Hero Nova Master, these technically should be Elemental Hero The Shining and Elemental Hero Gaia. The reason why I don't have them currently, though, is because, frankly, they're supposed to come in the mail about a week ago, and they still haven't come in. So I'm just proxying them, basically, with these two guys. So remember, just keep in mind, this should be an Elemental Hero The Shining, and this should be a Gaia. These are not supposed to be run in the deck yet, but when Elemental Hero Blazement comes out for the TCG, I definitely will bring you guys an updated list with these two guys also. Moving on to the XYZs, we start off with the one hero champion, Excalibur. This is a warrior deck, so we want to have the Excalibur for our Apocalypse Towers out and just beating our opponent with that 4,000 beater. We have the one E-Knight whenever we have to nuke the board. We have the one 101. The primary reason why we have this over Castel is because Honor Arc still does the job fairly well as we can also mask change it into Elemental Hero Acid, and we can also fuse it into Elemental Hero Absolute Zero. So having the water over the wind Castel is a bit better in my opinion, as it synchronizes with the deck just that much more. And then finally, for our final extra deck monster, we do play the one Abyss Dweller, because again, there's a lot of graveyard decks now. Although Neclots, I guess you could say, are the exception, but there's still Burning Abyss decks and Shadow decks going around. So having the Dweller for those matchups is very nice, as well as, again, like Honor Arc, you can mask change it into Acid, or you can fuse it into AZ. So that is it for my Elemental / Masked Hero deck profile, guys. Let me know what you guys think of the list down in the comment section below. And as always, this is Kirim from the Trinity of Lift, and I'll see you guys later. Peace.